back, everybody, again to the Basement Binge, and thank you for being here. I'm excited to be here, and I am Harrison.
And this is your boy, Kelton.
And this is your other boy, Cade.
Yeah, so thank you, everyone, for being here. You two guys in front of me, but also everybody listening. I've been trapped at work lately, mindlessly just studying. We're in training right now, and I'm so grateful to finally have a conversation about something that I enjoy. Movies are a huge part of my life, and I'm grateful today to just sit down and just enjoying movies. So thanks for being a part of the conversation, and if you enjoy movies, come definitely listen and subscribe, because today we watched Captain America, the First Avenger, with our continuation of the MCU binge. So yeah, it was a pretty fun movie to watch. So we'll jump right into this after a few brief thoughts.
All right. Yeah, guys, thanks for listening in. We were just having a blast. This is really just so much fun. You guys just watching everyone download these and listen to them, and listen, hearing thoughts from all of you guys too is really amazing. So big shout out to you guys. You make this so much fun to do. And just want to remind you guys, we have our goal of 1,000 downloads before the end of the year. So we totally need your guys' help. We're doing as much as we can on social media, but we'd also like you guys to reach out. Maybe just throw us on your Instagram story, tweet at us, anything to help us out reach our goal for 1,000 downloads by the end of the year. But yeah, we're going to keep posting weekly, and we'll keep you updated on Twitter and Instagram, which Kate has the details for you.
Yeah, and for sure, know what our Twitter tag, Instagram tag, and Facebook pages. That way you can keep that up to date of all of our, thoughts about the movie that we just watched and quotes from our podcast, as well as upcoming events and updates and movies that we'll watch, as well as recommendations for sure. Our Twitter is Binge Basement, and the Instagram is The Binge Basement. And one quick little shout out to all the new people that showed up this past week. Noticed that you guys started to follow us, our fellow podcasters about movies. Want to say welcome, and we're glad you guys can jump on ship to our newly designed ship. And we're just excited for this new episode here. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, so definitely follow us on Twitter if you just want to hear us rant about things. Super short story today. I was in work studying, losing my mind, and the only thing that keeps me sane is listening to music. But if I listen to regular music, with lyrics, I get distracted. So I was listening to movie scores, because that's and then I was trapped inside for 20 minutes, and we don't have service in there, so I couldn't do anything. So I finally went on my break, and I just tweeted like crazy. I was like, I have so many thoughts in my head that aren't about work, and I have nobody to talk to, so I'll tell Twitter. So if you want to hear me rant about my poor, pathetic life while I'm at work, you can follow us at Twitter. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, jumping right into how we just break down of how we do our podcast here, how we review and talk about our movies. We start with what we've called our 2 cents, the phrase we've coined. That was a stupid pun. But yeah, so our 2 cents, that's just where we get 2 minutes of uninterrupted time to give our knee-jerk reactions to the movie. And we follow that up with something we've called Pick Your Poison, where we decide between it's like a rating scale between never watch again, rent the movie, or buy it, and kind of our reasons for that. And then specifically for the MCU, we review some rankings that we've given it from previous podcasts. And then we follow that up with binge points, which are just fun things we noticed this time watching it. And then we talk about our favorite and least favorite scenes. And then we fall in, which is where my favorite part of it, I say the meat and potatoes of our show, if you want to call it that, the big stuff, where we talk about the meaning of the movie and how it impacted us, whether it was this time or another. And a really positive conversation. So I guess I will go first since I introduced it with the 2 cents.
Yeah.
Here, Cade, go ahead and get my timer started.
You're on.
Okay, so first things I noticed, just want to rattle off super quick. The casting choice, not just for Captain America, Steve Rogers, just so many good casting choices for this whole movie. The music was phenomenal. It was a really incredible period piece, a really almost classic World War II movie, while also being a superhero movie. It was a fun introduction for Captain America, which I think would be a really incredibly difficult character to play. I am not jealous of Chris Evans at all. I'm jealous of his physique, but but I am not jealous of the responsibility. That's not the right word, but the whatever the responsibility, to play Captain America. That is just not an easy thing to do. I'm gonna try and look up this one panel from a comic where T'Challa pretty much says that Captain America is perfect, and I think that'd be a really hard character to add depth to and add emotion to. Is he's just kind of a walking statue of American purity, whatever that means, and just like perfection and like what a man should be, how he should be so manly and brave and courageous, but also compassionate and kind and correct, which I think this movie did a good job at, but also didn't make it so he was just like a propaganda piece, like Captain America was kind of originally made to be. I think they kind of addressed the propaganda that he was and said that this character in the MCU is going to be so much more than that, but also added emotion to a way that, like, not that I want Captain America to be anything different in the comics. I'm getting distracted here, but that type of character is something that's not fitting for a movie, and I think they adapted the character of Steve Rogers and Captain America perfectly for the MCU with this movie. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. I also forgot how funny this movie is. We were laughing like a ton, like way more than I remembered, and I'm out of time.
All right, I really want to talk, Cade, so set up my timer real quick. My turn, baby.
Let me just sit in the third wheel right here and let you smack talk.
Dude, we're like a little tricycle, okay? There's only 3 wheels.
Wheel now.
All right,
Dude, what kind of tricycle do you ride that has one back wheel? The one wheel's in the front.
Well, I'm sorry.
that will be a fun tricycle, man. How would you turn that? Just wait. In Mexico, they have these things.
Well, yeah, like the motorcycle.
The bike things.
Yeah.
They're the scariest things. That like
so
the
hard to
first
turn.
time you get on it, it feels like you're gonna fall over because it has like the bar and like the 2 wheels in the front, and it's just like a normal bike. And like I got on one once, and I started going, and I'm going like super slow, and you turn it, and you almost feel like you're just gonna freaking die, dude. Those things are insane.
Well, that's what I'm riding.
Yep, this is true. All right, so start my timer.
Weird.
All right. Okay, so this movie, Captain America: The First Avenger. I've mentioned in previous podcasts that like I really dislike Captain America. I would go to the point where say I hate him, but I really enjoy this movie. And to all those people who say that doesn't make any sense, listen up. I'm about to tell you what's going down. So you could have like a really good movie with music, actors, the dialogue, the plot, climax, everything, but you don't have to like a certain character for you to like the entire movie. So that's kind of where I stand with Captain America: First Avenger. But to get back to the movie, so one thing I think this movie does really well, just on first thoughts after watching it, is it's kind of super corny and cheesy, but it totally gets away with it. Like the action scenes in this movie are total just dramatic, what you'd expect from a superhero movie, but it totally fits with like the soundtrack and kind of just who Captain America is. Just like America, super patriotic, and it's just like, him jumping off a tank and it's exploding behind him and it's slow motion, or he throws the shield in slow motion, whatever. It just works. Like, I didn't feel like it was stretching at all. It was just a very fun way to watch a movie. And Captain America, I think deep down in each and every one of us, we have that like freedom kind of thing, And so when we watch Captain America, I think we get to kind of just enjoy that part of ourselves. But yeah, I think the villain was incredible in this, Red Skull. He totally like balanced out Captain America really well.
Yeah.
And I've watched this movie 3 times in the past year, with about like 3 months in between each time. So like I feel like I've watched this. I remember a lot of things from like each time I've watched it, but it's cool because dang it, Tom.
This is my favorite part about this is I know, like, just super quick, man, we're getting distracted today. This is going to be a long podcast. But when I'm talking in my 2 cents and I know that I've been talking for a while, I'm always like, man, the timer's going to go off. And I'm like, well, it hasn't gone off yet, so I have to keep talking. So then I like feel like I have to like talk really fast.
You feel Roger's like, okay, is that it? And then you have like 5 seconds left, and you're like, okay.
All right.
Like you say all right for 5 seconds. All right. Okay. Well, I guess it's my turn now.
And
Okay, my first thoughts were, I haven't watched this movie in a long time. Number 2, I am really amazed how they were able to give Captain America emotion. Because I was coming into this, I've watched the other movies, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War, and all the other MC movies. You know, it's. I remember those better than this one. And this one, and in the very first Captain America movie, I could see that they gave him a personality, friends, a lover, and this like emotion, and like just this origin story that like just grows on you so quick, you know. And like I remember that there was points where I'm just like wanting to I wanted to see how Captain America would react. Like how would he react in this situation? If he's a good person and he's given this ability to just be super strong and just ridiculous, like how would he react to that? Would he struggle at first? Would he just like be really awkward, or would he just taking his stride to get really prideful? But like he was just always about other people. Like in the very beginning, he said, "This isn't about me." And he was asked like, "Do you want to kill Nazis?" He's like, "I don't want to kill anybody. I don't like bullies." And so that like the writing gave Chris Evans a bit of help in helping making this character what it needed to be. But like, holy crap, they made this movie so funny. Like this, it wasn't like this whole scene. It was just like little snippets, like a phrase here, a phrase there. It was just this golden nugget here and there, and that's what like made me love this movie so much, to the point where I could watch this over and over and just come to love Captain America.
Well, perfectly timed. Yeah. Okay, so man, got so many things to say. Let's just move on. So pick your poison. I kind of already defaulted. We watched again my copy, so I guess my opinion is bye. But even if this wasn't the MCU, because like I feel like of the phase 1, I felt like so much of it they were really trying to get it connected. And like phase 2, it was already connected. Anyway, I'm getting kind of distracted. I feel like this movie stands on its own so well. What I'm trying to say is that I would buy this movie and I would love this movie even if it wasn't part of the MCU. Like, let's just say this is just some movie that was just made totally separate. Like, it was a really well done movie. So yes, I would buy it. That was way complicated way of saying I would buy it.
All right, Kate, do you want to bring it around?
Pick poison. I would buy it, but like, I don't know. It's just I can't think of any other explanation, which is like, yeah, I'd buy this movie because it's a good movie of just straight action, but like you can, if you really pay attention, you can see how freaking connected that it's creating this like spider web of references and connections and cameos and stuff like that. So it's a good movie for kids. It's a good movie for families. It's a good movie for like straight up nerds that we are. It's a good movie for action and explosions. Like you see Captain America jump off the tank, and it's all in this explosion, slow motion, like 100% obvious CGI. But it's like I don't really freaking care because it's Captain America. But like, this is a movie for everybody.
Yeah, Kellen, you can never watch it again.
Not gonna lie, this time I was able to notice there is something I really dislike about this movie. But we'll get into that later.
Darn!
Guys, I gotta be honest here.
No, that's good. That's good.
But, pick my poison. This is a buy. Like, I agree with Caden Harrison. You know, this is a really good movie. It's a great origin, individual superhero movie that connects all the other MCU movies. But like Harrison said, it stands perfectly well on its own. And, it's like, children appropriate. You could be 90 years old or like 9 years old, and you're going to enjoy this movie. Yeah. So, I've watched it like a bunch this year, but I've enjoyed it every single time. So, if you don't enjoy it, like, you have some issues, but you'll like it. I promise you that. So,
yeah. So, let's I'm getting so distracted by our ranking. it's a struggle. I've got so many thoughts about this movie. Okay, so my ranking, Harrison here. I don't even know what it is, Captain America, the First Avenger as number 18. That's so low on the list. My initial reaction, I want to move this up really badly, but I don't want to say that too soon because, like I said last time, so much of this is being, ranked against, ranking is you compare it to the rest of the MCU, so I don't know what that's going to be like. But I will say, in ranking this, I think I've only seen this movie once. Like, I don't ever remember rewatching this movie. Oh, wow. So there was so much of it that I didn't remember. So yeah, it's definitely going to go up on my list. And then also just to review my phase rankings super quick, I put it at, it's number 4. It's probably going to stay there. So yeah, anyway.
All right. What do you have it, Kelton?
So on mine, overall, I have Captain America as number 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had it pretty high up.
Time out.
You hate Captain America.
Okay, hold on. So let me get this straight. So you have had this hatred for Captain America, where the past 2 episodes you've mentioned that you just can't stand this guy. In our MCU rankings, you went on a train of just like,
you said you hated him
multiple times, and that you just could not stand, and you're like Iron Man all the way if you chose between the two. But let's look at your list here. You have Captain America over, wait, did I get this right? All of the Iron Man movies?
Shut your mouth. All right, let me explain. Sit down. All right, I'm taking the mic.
Mic drop.
Okay, no. Here we go.
I don't think you can recover from that. I don't think you can.
If anyone can't see me right now, my hand...
Get a vein bursting off your forehead.
Listen up. Hold up. My hand is up. I talk my hands. So if everyone listening, imagine me holding up my hand right now to drive the point home. So, what I'm trying to say... Frig, I'm losing... Okay, hold up. Alright, if all the Captain America movies, instead of watching Captain America as like the main guy, he could be a trash bag and I'd still love the movies. Because, here's why. And I go back to what I said earlier, my 2 cents.
Okay.
Captain America, I do not like I hate as a superhero. He's too much. But the movies are incredibly good. Like,
okay,
you could trade out any other person on this planet to play his part, and it wouldn't change my perception of the movie.
Okay, so it's not the character of Captain America that's drawing you in, it's everything else about it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Fair enough. I stand by that.
As much as I don't like putting them that high, I have to do them justice because they are great movies. Like, every single Captain America movie is phenomenal.
Oh, easily the strongest trilogy in the MCU and other places as well.
Hands down. And, no disrespect to Iron Man. I love you. But the movies are just really well done. And so that's why I have, I think all 3 Captain America movies are in my top 11. And all 3 of my Iron Man movies, I have bottom 12. So
see, I'm gonna have to disagree with you because if you do love Iron Man, you have to show me that you do.
That's why Iron Man's at number 12, right behind Captain America.
You can love you. Wait, hold on. You can love Iron Man, but you don't have to love his movies. Just like I love Doctor Strange, but I don't love his movie. I like his movie, but I don't love his movie.
Well, this is about dislike.
Because part of it is look, Iron Man and Captain America, there's 2 different themes going down.
Hey, save it for Civil War. Okay. No spoilers.
No, but what I'm trying to say is I really enjoy just old-fashioned stuff. I've already mentioned every single freaking podcast, so if you didn't listen last time, maybe you should. I love origin stories, so I really like Captain America because it kind of just ties everything together.
It's like the origin story.
It is.
It's actually on IMDb. it says that Captain America: The First Avenger does the heavy lifting as far as like connecting the MCU.
It does.
universe.
It does. Because Iron Man, all respect to it, it's the first one that kicked it all off.
Yeah,
Love that movie.
Smart.
But another reason why I love Captain America is because it's just the setting. 1940s, World War II. And it just kind of...
You're already fond of that.
Yeah, I could watch a documentary about World War II for 4 hours. Like, I enjoy that kind of stuff.
That's why Discovery Channel does that to you. They
So-
do it on repeat, and you just keep watching it.
I would watch it because I just find that stuff super interesting. And, like, this whole movie is about that. Like, the propaganda and just the music and the pictures kind of all has that, like, old-fashioned feel. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun to watch. Just
So do you hate Chris Evans or Captain America?
Captain America. Chris Evans is like a homie. And, like what Harrison said, dude, he is a hunk of a man. Like,
Oh my gosh, okay. When he came out of that, everybody who's seen this movie, everybody who knows Captain America knows the scene where miniature dude goes into the space rocket, whatever it is. And Chris Evans comes out with his pecs the size of my head. And it's just like, oh my gosh, that is a man. Like, the whole time I was just amazed at the dedication that someone would take to get just huge
Oh, yeah.
to play a role so well. But yeah,
Like, even just, like, the way he stands. Like,
it's just so Captain
he's
America.
just jacked. And he's like running, and it's just like, dude, he has to, like, I don't know.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about his muscles
Anyway.
all the podcast. That'd be kind of
What
weird.
were we on? Was it me?
Yeah.
or
So are you going to rent it,
Oh,
buy it, or
so-
never watch it again?
So definitely.
Oh wait, no, we already passed it.
We're on the ranking. Okay, were you going into it, or was it me? Oh no.
No, I stopped you and I roasted you.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you're done with
Jerk. Come on,
What's
man.
your ranking, Cade?
Okay, all right. I moved on from that catastrophe.
Your fault.
My fault. You should thank me.
Bro, come on.
I'm the real reason why there's ratings on our podcast. Let's be honest here. Okay, we're at Captain America, the First Avenger. I have it at 13. It's very much in the pack, right in the middle. Yeah. I feel like it's just because I can't throw any lower because it's a tearjerker because you see this kid from Brooklyn he gets asked to take part in this huge war and this role that he has to take and this reputation to keep up, and then to have to keep it up and leave his life behind.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And in multiple ways, which we'll talk about that later. I have a lot of things to talk about that, but yeah, Captain America is straight in the middle because I feel like he needs to be appreciated, but I have favorites.
Yeah, so 20 minutes in, we've made it through 2 segments. On to binge points, which could take the rest of the podcast if we're not careful. So I'm just going to rattle mine off, just kind of like bullet point list, so we don't spend forever on them. So first thing, I already mentioned Chris Evans is ripped. Chris Evans plays Captain America so much better than I can imagine. I also noticed, I just looked it up on IMDb, Joe Johnston, the guy who directed this movie, directed Raiders of the Lost Ark. What a perfect choice for a director for this movie. Oh my gosh. So, oh man, it's good. The acting in this movie, there are so many actors who I forgot were in this movie. I forgot about Tommy Lee Jones, who plays the Colonel, who plays him perfectly. I forgot that Hugo Weaving was Red Skull. And then Stanley Tucci, who plays Dr. Erskine, or however you say that. I just forgot how much I love the actors in this movie. And they all did it so well. Like the way that they did, and I see now I'm already forgetting his name. But the way that Tommy Lee Jones plays the Colonel, it's just so much fun. Like the scene where he looks at him, he's like, I'm not kissing yet. Like,
Everything he comes out of his mouth is like this straightforward, direct.
just Colonel. It was
hilarious. I brought you dinner.
So let me just pull up my list here of other binge points I had because, like I said, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, so maybe my binge points are a little different. I thought the music was great from Alan Silvestri. I also noticed a really small binge point, and I kept trying to find it online, and I just could not. Is when Captain America, Chris Evans, comes out like he's in New York in the current period, You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And it's like that spinning shot around New York, and you see all those like the advertisements of New York. There's one that just happens like super briefly for The Dark Knight. Oh, it has like the Joker in the background. Anyway, not important whatsoever. It's for like half of a second, and it's like moving in the corner, and you can barely see it. The other thing that I loved about this movie, seeing this time, is the really, I mentioned this kind of in my 2 cents, but the power, not power, that's the wrong word to use, but the effectiveness of kind of twisting propaganda on its head of Captain America, and like that silly montage of him doing all those shows and just how they changed it. I just really, really enjoyed that. Other binge point, I don't know, this has nothing to do with watching the movie and just IMDb. Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, who wrote Infinity War and Endgame, wrote this movie. So you can just bank on those two to write a good Marvel movie, or just a good movie in general. So other than that, I don't really have that many binge points, just because this is like my second time watching it, so I was not focused so much on binge points, but other things. So those are mine.
I actually was focusing on the binge points.
Really?
Yeah, because I really wanted to see what they would drop in Captain America: The First Avenger, because people, whenever I've watched, we've all watched all those YouTube videos of theories, of like backstories, of all those things about the MCU, and they always keep mentioning this movie, actually. And so I was really curious about what they would, things they drop, mention, run by the screen, and stuff. And one thing I was like, I recognized it in the very beginning, and that was when Red Skull, or what's his face, Johann Schmidt, he was talking about how the Tesseract was in the safe, or in the, what's it called? It's just the keep of Odin.
Oh yeah, in the treasury of Odin.
In treasury of Odin. So he knows that. So I saw that, and I thought to myself, well, he's just all about this, like, this
mythology, the Norse mythology.
And then I thought about the quote back in Thor, where Loki was telling Thor that, like, oh, you can just go to Earth and just like have them worship you as a god. And he's like, just giving him crap about that. And Johann Schmidt is a perfect example of that. Is that he noticed that these gods are, like, they're legit, they are real, and there's a power out there. And that throughout the whole entire film of Captain America, there's references from Thor. There's a point where the Red Skull is looking through mythology books of Thor, of Loki, of Odin, of Valkyrie. What does he name Valkyrie? It was his army was called Valkyrie. Not after the actress, but that whole army in Thor Ragnarok. He named it after them. Is that he understood that, and he kind of copied the themes, the titles, the labels of Thor and of Odin, and like I thought that was really cool, because this comes after Thor, correct, in the order, and so it would make sense for them to reference Thor, and then they reference other things ahead of it, and so I thought that was just really cool. I didn't notice that ever before until now, and I thought they tied that in incredibly well.
I will say that you made me remember this. It was fun to seeing the other movies later in the MCU, how much they reference this movie later, if that makes sense. And then there's one other thing that I forgot what it was. Hold on, give me a second. I don't remember. Darn.
What you call
them? This time, I think one binge point that like I think is pretty cool about this movie is right in the beginning when Steve Rogers is just puny little punk, like when he's fighting the dude when he's not fighting the dude, he's getting beat up in the alley right in the beginning after he tells the dude to shut up in the movie theater. So like he's getting punched, lights out of him, he's just getting wrecked, and like mad respect for like standing up, because like one of those punches anyways, like there's a part where he like grabs a trash can lid to like protect himself. Doesn't do anything. He totally gets the crap beaten out of him. I thought just like funny little thing, just like he'll use a shield and it like doesn't help him whatsoever. Captain America getting beaten up even though he has like a shield and everything. And then like he gets his shield, and then like one of the last scenes of the movie is we see this little kid who has like the trash can, but it's like painted on the Captain America shield. And I know it's like nothing big, and it's pretty like obvious to like everyone who watches it, but I think it's just pretty cool how they just connect like what a hero does to like even just like kids, like it. Well, yeah, and it totally like changes the whole like idea, and you could just tell like even when he's doing the propaganda shows, Captain America just totally like takes place in the heart of like kids across the country. There's the comics that come out, and they all just want to be like Captain America. And as much as I hate Captain America, he is a good role model for the kids. Like, I respect that. But like
you respect him, you like his movies, but you still hate him.
Yes, I stand firm with that.
I just want to remind everybody about that.
But yeah, so I just thought that was just kind of a cool binge point, just kind of playing around with the whole shield thing. So
yeah, I remember my other binge point is I noticed this time when the people get get shot with the Hydra weapons that are powered by the Tesseract and the Space Stone, they don't like burn, they don't like disintegrate. Like, it almost looks like, yeah, it's not a bullet. It almost like, it really looks like, because the Tesseract is a Space Stone, which just is pretty much a portal or a teleporter. It affects and manipulates space around you to allow you to travel through space and teleport and portals almost. And it almost kind of looks like their body or their matter is just kind of like teleported away somewhere, like Space Stone. Like, I just think of the scene where Thanos in Infinity Wars, whoa, huge spoilers, uses the Space Stone to get from Titan to Wakanda, and he kind of walks through almost that portal-looking thing through space. That's what the Space Stone does, is allows you to manipulate space to move it at your advantage. And it's almost like that happens to their body unelectedly, like they don't choose to, like forcibly, so they're whatever happens. Which also I thought was cool, that knowing later what happens to the Red Skull, that seeing him, he didn't burn up like a classic Indiana Jones movie. He gets teleported away. Like, the teleportation that the Space Stone, the Tesseract, does to him looks so similar to the Bifrost. So now, knowing more about Marvel lore, it's so cool to see like really how well they understood what they were doing from the beginning. Mm-hmm. They really knew, like, the Tesseract is going to be the Space Stone.
And another thing, going off of what you said about how they use the power of the Tesseract to, quote unquote, shoot people, they thought they were disintegrating them of some sort. But like in the beginning, he says when they were using the power, whatever that doctor was, he was, turning up slowly at the 70%. And then Johann Schmidt said, "I didn't come this far to be careful, doctor." And he just cranks it up. And I feel like that phrase explained that Red Skull doesn't know what he's dealing with. That the old guy that he killed in the very beginning was right. You don't know what power that you have. And looking at the whole MCU, like in a huge, big picture, the Red Skull had no idea. He saw it as a power source, but in the end, it was a Space Stone. It wasn't the Power Stone; it was a Space Stone. Can you imagine what Red Skull, if he had the Power Stone or the Ether and stuff? But like, he just did not know what he was getting himself into, and so that's a really good question. I actually kind of want to ask the director or somebody to see if when people get shot by those Tesseract guns, what happened to them? Are they actually dead, or they get teleported?
Did their matter just get dispersed out in space? But who knows? So, any other binge points we want to mention?
No, I think that's it.
All right, so let's move into our favorite and least favorite scene. But because we like to keep things positive here, we like to start with our least favorite scene.
I want to go first.
All right.
No, it's because like I've seen this so many times. I only recognize this time, and both of I actually have two dislikes. One is actually about the MCU, what happens after, but the first one is definitely about the movie. Watching this, I don't like how they open the opening scene.
Didn't you say that last time? No, you said that last time with Thor.
Oh, I hated the opening scene.
This opening scene I was completely against because I feel like it spoiled the movie. Well, obviously, I've seen this a lot. I know it's going to happen. But I feel like, the whole idea, they find this giant ship, and then they go down and they find Captain America's shield. The part where they find the shield, I love. But I don't like the fact that they give away there's a giant ship in some snowy wasteland, and they go inside, and then they see his shield. Like, watching that, I was just like, well, now it, like, gives the viewers, kind of gives them just, like, a peep to, like, hey, you know, when you see a giant ship, you know, like, Captain America's just gonna, like, go down in the ship. Like, that was my first thought when I watched this again. And that could be because, like, I've seen this so many times. But I felt like it would have been a lot, just kind of keep it mysterious. Keep us in the dark until the very end. Like, even just, like, opening scene, you know, I do love the idea of, like, finding Captain America's shield, but I would like them to do it in a different way. And that's easy to say as, like, a viewer. You're like, I don't like that, change that, whatever. But after watching that so many times, I feel like this is one of the few dislikes where I feel like they could have maybe spiced it up a little different. I don't know how they would have done it, but just kind of introduce Captain America, give that little cliffhanger. It's like, oh, wait, the shield. Like, who is this guy, you know? But yeah, there's that. And then the second one, which is a lot more minor, is with this doctor. I don't know his name, and I probably can't even say it.
Which one?
The one who helps Captain America.
Oh, Eskin or...
Yeah, that guy. I wish that kind of stayed to the core character of Captain America through the rest of the MCU.
The Doctor?
Yeah.
Dying?
Like kind of just what he taught Captain America. Because the last thing we ever see or really, like, know from him is, like, when he, like, taps on Steve Rogers' chest right after he changes. Yeah, that's huge. It totally drives home a point, and I think it does so much for, like, Captain America, helping him be Captain America. And I feel like that would have been awesome to, like, just kind of pay tribute to that in later MCU movies. Or just kind of show that, like, maybe in part of his character development later on, have him, like, remembers, like, you know, you're not here to, like, be a perfect soldier. You're here to, what is it that he says? It's like, you're here to be a good man. Yeah, good man. I wish, because that is such a, I don't want to go too in detail here, because this is, like, almost falling in. But, man, what a line. I wish that they kind of stuck with that whole idea of what he learned from this doctor to later on. I think that would have been kind of a cool throwback, but those are my only two dislikes. Literally everything else, in my opinion, is fantastic. Okay. But what about you?
I just want to respond to yours super quick. It's not necessarily rebuttal. It just makes me think that, like, seeing that now, I have a lot more for an understanding. And I don't want to... I've tried to avoid, like, spoilers for future movies, just in case any of you listeners haven't seen them yet. But... I just lost my train of thought. Oh, the like, understanding that the events of Steve Rogers' life, the events of him becoming Captain America, but also the event of being frozen in ice for 70 years and then waking up. Watching this movie this time made me understand the impact that would have a lot more, and kind of why Captain America is the way he is in later movies. But I guess I'll talk about that when we get to the later movies. But yeah, I agree. I wish kind of that there was some more continuation of those moments, because I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, they're awesome to watch.
So, yeah, least favorite scenes. Cade, do you want to go next? Or?
Yeah, I got a least favorite scene. I lost my train of thought.
I said that like 5 times.
I know. This has been a crazy day. You know, you're on the podcast grind, and sometimes words don't always come out the way you want them. Worst scene, least favorite scene. I want to say it was. I had it on my mind when you were ranting off, but it was I'd say it was when Captain America was like, he was being all the patriotic, political symbol. Because at that point,
doing the shows?
Yeah, where like he was watching, he's like, does a fake punch to Hitler, and it's like, I'm watching this movie, this part of the movie, this scene or gibbet, and I'm just thinking to myself, when is this over? Let's get back to like the real fighting and stuff. Let's get Captain America pissed and go out and save his buddy. Like, that part was just kind of a weird thought, a weird, huge, you know, that they tried to. I can understand why they want to make him a symbol, but have him go out and do stuff and like save the world and all that stuff. That would make it a symbol in itself. So I think that's my least favorite scene. Is him like wearing tights and the soldiers screaming at him, "Bring back the girls," something like that, and he gets it just shows that like that little was a complete failure.
Yeah.
All right, Harrison, any thoughts?
My least favorite scene.
Yeah.
Honestly, I forgot to pay attention to that. Probably my least favorite scene. I'm trying to remember now. I feel like my mind's just going completely blank on this movie. We just watched it, literally. What the heck? Why can't I remember it? I think my least favorite scene would be. Oh yeah, now I remember the train scene where Bucky dies. Mm-hmm. I just hate that Bucky dies. I like the events that happen later, but I didn't get why Bucky closed the door. You know what I mean?
He closed the door. He didn't close the door.
Did it close on him?
That got closed on him. That was a trap.
I thought the whole time I was like, why did he close the door? That was the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, it was a total trap.
Okay, well, regardless of that, okay, now I like that scene a little bit more. But I didn't like just that whole train scene. I liked them ziplining down onto the train, but then I didn't like the events that happened with Bucky and Captain. I like the scene where Captain throws Bucky the gun and he catches it. That was pretty sweet to see, their teamwork, but it just makes me sad.
It's kind of the whole way it went down if Bucky died.
Yeah, just made me sad. Gotcha. So, favorite scenes? I'll go first, so we'll just circle back the way we went. My favorite scene, two of them. The less meaningful one is when, for the first time, Chris Evans, in all his muscular glory, is on scene when he comes out of the, whatever that is.
Metal rocket?
Yeah, the space rocket, is that what I called it?
Yeah.
Just because that scene's just, so, epic. You see this good guy, this scrawny kid comes out, and he's just Captain America. That scene's it's just a ton of fun and really exciting and thrilling and impressive to see the hard work that Chris Evans put in to be that. But the more meaningful favorite scene is when scrawny Steve Rogers jumps on the grenade. Every time. I'm going to talk about that more later when we fall in, but that's my favorite scene. Every time I think about Captain America, I think about that scene.
Great.
So many things to say about it, but I'll hold my tongue for a second.
I got a favorite scene, and it's the first time Steve Rogers ever tells people that he's Captain America. Is when he's going to free the prisoners, and they're like, "Who are you supposed to be?" And he's like, "I'm Captain America."
Oh yeah, I love that.
It's nonchalant, I'm Captain America. You don't know who I am.
I love that.
And so I think that's maybe. I don't know if I should say this, but is that the one and only time he's ever called himself Captain America?
I think in that movie that's the only time he does, but I don't know.
Right, but is it of all of them? Because he always mentioned he's always big about Steve Rogers. I am Steve Rogers. But I want to see if that's the only time he ever calls himself Captain America.
We'll have to see.
Yeah. My other favorite scene is when he just about to jump on the massive plane. Peggy, what's her name? Haley Atwell. Yeah. Gorgeous of an actress, kisses and tells him to go get him, and then the sergeant looks, she's like, "I'm not kissing you."
It had me laughing so hard. Just the way he's driving at full speed. He just glances up and he's like, "I'm not kissing you."
Because he's driving trying to stay focused and because they have a moment they kiss and Steve Rogers, still being this kid from Brooklyn gets kissed by this this beautiful woman. He gets kissed. He looks over to the sergeant what do I do next? And he's like, "I'm not kissing you."
Respect to Captain America to be able to focus after that. I just sit there and just wow, what just happened?
Oh, wow. Haley Atwell, can we have you as a guest on the podcast?
Yes, please.
Just to hear how that all went down.
Yeah, Harrison, I don't know, that little thing you mentioned about what she did after Captain America came out of that.
Oh yeah, so for those who don't know, so when Chris Evans, I have to rewatch the interview. I could be misquoting it, but Haley Atwell was talking about. I think that was the first time that she had seen Chris Evans shirtless, And I'm sure right before that scene, he probably like went and pumped some iron super quick to look like extra beefy. He comes out of the scene all glistening and like it's an epic moment. And you're in front of Chris Evans shirtless, like, jeez. And she wasn't supposed to do it. Like, it's not scripted. It was just kind of like a reaction she had. She like reaches out and like almost touches his pec. It's such a good moment in the movie.
It plays so well with how she's reacting at the moment.
Yeah, but it's not acting. It's like actually Haley Atwell. It's not Peggy Carter in that moment. I just think it's really
that whole scene right there. I'll wait till we go into Fall In, but like the whole scene of just like it's a classic scene from the.
Yeah, she's just like, you just the music swelling. You see the thing open. It's just like, jeez, and then.
Okay. So that's your favorite scene, Cade?
Yeah, my two favorite scenes. That'd be the one where he says "I'm Captain America" for the first time of the entire MCU, and then him. I'm not kissing you. That one.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. My favorite scene. To be honest, I didn't think about this much, like going into the movie. Wow, I just thought of another good movie we should watch. But anyway,
Tell me what it is. I'll write it down.
Yeah, just say it now.
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh,
like the one with
The new
Robert Downey
ones,
Jr.?
yes. Oh my gosh. Thinking of Captain America's like snow scene when they're going through the snow and the trees made me remember Game of Shadows.
Oh, that's such a good.
Okay, sorry, wow. Well, you guys should tune in for when we do that podcast because it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I think my favorite scene, it's not necessarily one scene, it's just the whole. It's like the bunch of scenes when Captain America establishes himself as like, look, I'm like a secret weapon now. I'm gonna take my group of boys and like we're just gonna go tear through Europe and just take out these like German factories. And just like that whole, it's just a whole bunch of things like just being a superhero. They're just kicking butt, you know, taking out these bad dudes, you know, blowing up factories, blowing up tanks, Captain America being Captain America, throwing a shield, whatever. Like it's just very enjoyable to watch, you know, just kind of the cool fighting that goes down and just like the different scenes. It just shows like this group is really growing together and they're like being successful and just like changing the tide of the war and like throwing off Johann Schmidt and everything. So I'd say that was definitely my favorite like section of the movie.
Yeah.
Are we finally on Fall In?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
dude. This
all
whole
have
time
things to
I've
say.
tried to like withhold myself from falling
So,
in,
I got
but
a
it's
lot of
time.
So Kellen's been on this edge of his seat for this, so we'll let him go first.
Oh,
Fall In.
man.
This is where we talk about kind of the themes or messages from the movie that have impacted us that we enjoy. And personal note, like these conversations that we have, this is also just to tell the two of you that the three of us have, like I think about them for a long time. And it genuinely causes me to make changes in my life to try and be a better person because of these conversations. And I love being able to appreciate movies in this way, that we get to spend 30 minutes just having a good time, just enjoying the movie, but then it impacts
Like
us.
life-changing
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah.
Oh, and also like to let you guys know, when we like normally when you watch a movie with a group of friends, like you have like things you want to say, and sometimes we'll say that, but a lot of the times we try and save it for our podcast because
Yeah.
all of our reactions are like genuine, and like this conversation is not planned. It's just like whatever comes to our mind, and just our reaction. So, anyways.
We try to make it as real as possible for you guys. Like this is, we want you guys to be a part of it. You know, this is a podcast where we want to share. This is movies that we love, why we love it, why we hate it, and just share it. And we want people to be a part of it. We want people to join us. We want people to just interact. And because we feel like that this is a incredible amount of enjoyment that we get from this. So
Come enjoy it with us.
seriously.
Join the conversation.
Join the conversation. Like we'd love to have people come out here and talk with us and see what their 2 cents is.
Just comments, whatever. So, yeah, anyway, after that shameless plug, let's fall in, Kellen.
Fall In, finally. So, there's so many directions I want to go with this, but I'm just going to go with the first one, is priorities. Like, yeah, this is, I want to talk about so many different things, but this is one I, like, really has been, like, thinking about a lot as I watched this movie this time around, is just priorities. On how, like, especially with the doctor, I think he he is like up there for one of my favorite characters. To like, all of them are great, but I just love when he's talking to Steve Rogers right before he has his like procedure. Just like the wisdom that he just like dumps on Steve Rogers. That whole scene's incredible. But like it just helps kind of establish, like, help Steve Rogers realize like the importance of setting priorities, of like, just by asking the question, do you want to kill some Nazis? And he's like, well, no, like, I want to, I don't want to kill anybody. I just don't like bullies. And like, I think, if you're in a war, you could get caught up in like what you're doing, and you kind of like can dehumanize yourself to what you're doing, because it could be hard, like, I'm sure, like, being in war and everything. But anyways, it's just like the reminder that the Doctor gives to Steve Rogers is to always like just be a good man, like, and no matter what you may be doing, just remember that, like, that you were chosen, like, because of like who you are, and that just because you're big and strong now, it doesn't mean you should lose respect for that power. And just being able to keep your priorities straight is like, yeah, you may be capable of doing a lot of different things, but being able to like stay true to what you believe, even like though your circumstances may change. And like another point what brings up priorities is like how Captain America reacts when he finds out like Bucky is like in danger or possibly like killed. On how, you think, okay, Captain America, he's like an obedient like soldier, but he's also like, he fights for what he believes. Like, it's obvious to tell he has his priorities of like his friends and like family before anything else, even though it means like completely abandoning his post in the army of like doing propaganda, or not propaganda, but like selling bonds. And even though it's like pretty much against direct orders from his colonel, like, he still goes out of his way because, Bucky's important to him. So what I got from this personally is just being able to know what's important to you, because I feel like a lot of the times we don't know what's important to ourselves, and just being able to step back and like realize like, hey, like, personally for me, like, God is important, and like my family and my friends. Like, I feel like I'm a very loyal person, and I may be slow to trust, but once I like get there, I'm willing to do a lot of things for like friends and family. And so like I just like related to Captain America in that moment where he just goes off for Bucky. Like, he has his priorities in my mind set where they should be, of being able to like do anything for your friends and just do what's good. I still hate Captain America. Like, I just realized it sounded like I was like loving him too much, but I really respect like his just sense of priorities and just like do.
Okay, I mentioned this comic panel earlier, and I found it because you made me remember it, Kelton. Because I think not only is it priorities, which I totally agree with what you're saying, I also think it's priorities for the greater good and understanding other people besides your own self-interest and the priorities that carries as well. Like you're saying. So there's this comic book panel. It's from the Civil War II comic, which I'm not going to give the whole details of that. But short synopsis, it's just like Civil War, the movie. Different Marvel superheroes start to fight with each other over kind of this really almost political and social battle, and they go to actually a physical fight with it. And T'Challa ends up choosing the side that Captain America does not. And so they're kind of opponents, not that they really fight each other, and kind of halfway through the battle, halfway through the comic, T'Challa or Black Panther comes up and like switches sides, if you want to say that. And this is what he says. It is just so well said. So Captain Marvel is like asking him what he's doing, and he says, "I have seen too much, Captain Marvel. I can no longer defend any of this. At the beginning I could, but I have grown more and more uncomfortable with my part in this, and long ago I learned that if you are on the side of Captain America, you can rest easy knowing that you are on the right side. And if he, even after all that we have experienced, would choose what he chooses, then that is what I should choose. Then that is what I should have chosen the entire time." So I didn't want to read it word for word to not ruin the comic for people. But in essence, what he says is like, I've known for a long time that if you're on the side of Captain America, you can rest easy knowing that you're on the right side. And knowing what he's chosen now, despite what we've seen, that's what I should have chosen all along. And I think it's I think it like totally goes with what you're saying.
That's cool. I did not know that.
Dang, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, every time I read that, I'm just like, man. Not necessarily like, I don't want to get into this too much to take away from what Kellen's saying. Not necessarily particularly the person of Captain America, but a lot of the ideals and standards and expectations, like you're saying, Kelton. Every time I think about this, I'm like, man, not necessarily what a person, but what a way to live your life. Like, living those priorities for other people and for yourself so well. Like, what a powerful way to live your life in such a positive way.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to mention is about, like, falling into this is that there's a lot of... So I have two things. One thing I want to hit first is the relationship between Peggy and Steve Rogers.
Oh, what a heartbreaker.
I cried this time. I was hiding it over there in the dark in the corner.
Aside from Endgame, this is the saddest Marvel
Oh my
movie.
gosh, I
The
cry
ending.
every time.
But I wanted to... So there's a lot of points where it's a moment... Like, Peggy and Steve have a lot of moments where, like, they look at each other and have a look, or, like, they ask questions, and the specific answers that they give back is, like, very... To me, meant a lot, because... I first watched the movie. It was when the movie came out, 2011, 2012, something like that.
14, 13.
Something like that. And I wasn't married back then, and now I am a married man. And seeing their relationship that they have, is that there's a point where Captain America or Steve Rogers, he's going to go save Bucky, and before he found out that Bucky's unit, the 107th, was in trouble, Peggy said, don't you think you're more than this? More than just this political figure that you just say these words on a piece of paper and tell people to buy purchase war bonds? That she said that you are more than this. And then he finds out about Bucky Barnes, that he's in trouble, and he goes out and he's told by the sergeant, do not do that. They're 30 miles behind enemy lines. We lose more men than we would save. Steve Rogers has this connection where he asks Peggy a question. You said I was more than this before. That the things that you said earlier. Were you telling me the truth? And Peggy gives this look that only a wife or someone who was in love would give a look back to. And she said every word. And like those, and there was more conversations throughout the whole movie where they have this relationship where they have a trust, even though they don't know each other, and they're coworkers, and they're working together, not necessarily having a relationship, but they are behind the scenes in their mind and in their conversations and subtle references, subtle hints they give back to each other, that they have a love for each other that does not really compare to very many other people. And I think that's what gave Steve Rogers a certain character, because Steve Rogers throughout this whole movie was a kid from Brooklyn. He wasn't Captain America like he was in Civil War or any other MCU movies. Because, like, think about it. Like, you have this life where you want to serve your country. You're given the opportunity. You find this dream girl, and you are saving the world. And then you lose almost all of that. Like, let me ask you this, Kelton. Like, if you had a life like that, and then you lose all...
I ain't married, though.
Okay, you're not married.
Just kidding. Sorry, go ahead.
But like you have all this life, and you lose it, and then now you have to go and fight for this country that you are not so sure that you know anymore. Like, would you lose a part of yourself?
Yeah. Like, that'd shatter, like, all my, like...
It shattered your personality almost.
Well, I don't know, it shattered my personality, but it definitely, like, shattered my perception of, like, maybe my priorities, or, like... I don't know, that's really hard to say. Yeah. I mean, I obviously haven't experienced that kind of, like, bond yet, but, like, I could definitely tell you, like, it would totally, like, change. That'd be, like, life change, like, game changer right there, so.
What about you, Harrison?
It's hard to say, but a lot of things in my life would be a lot different if that happened. I would, my way of thinking.
Because, like, looking at Steve Rogers and saying that he has all these things that he wants to accomplish, and he did, and there's a certain point where he has happiness, and that's when he runs into Peggy, when Peggy saves his life from that guy with the flamethrower, and then they run up to each other, and Steve's like, "You're late," as it's a call back to what she said to him when he rescued all the other guys, and then Peggy's like, "Don't you have something to do?" And he's like, "Oh, right." Like in that moment, he wasn't Captain America. He was Steve Rogers. He was the boy from Brooklyn still, even though he was this heroic figure, that he still was himself. And so I feel like what the doctor did say to him when he pointed to his chest in his dying moments, that did stick with him, but that he didn't vocally express that, is that he just took that within himself, if that makes sense. And does that make sense at all?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a big. I have some more other stuff to say, but I'll let people.
Yeah, we're running along on time, so we'll wrap it up here super quick. I just wanted to talk about my favorite scene and what it means to me is the scene where Steve Rogers, when he's scrawny, jumps on the grenade, and like that incredibly selfless and protective act isn't something that you can decide in the moment. That, let's say you're in that given situation, that jumping on a grenade isn't something that you can decide to do to save all your buddies right then. It's a decision that you make beforehand. And I just think it's really a profound and inspiring way to live your life, to constantly have a thought of others and a thought of serving others and protecting others, and a very selfless way of living. Yeah, and it's never prideful. It's not for the purpose of being a hero and being that one guy who saved everybody because he jumped on the grenade. It's so much higher than that. It's profound and inspirational to me. So yeah, we'll wrap that up here unless anybody else has anything to say.
That's a good spot to end it on.
I will say this. I think the way Steve Rogers acted in this movie was a total prediction toward how he ever acts in the rest of the movies. Is that he's thinking about others. In Winter Soldier, he's thinking about his friend the entire time, saving his friend. And in Civil War, he's trying to save the common people.
It's interesting. So yeah, so thanks again for listening. That was a chaotic, disorganized podcast, but hopefully we're able to wrap it up. I guess it's just been one of those weeks. So yeah, like we said, definitely share with your friends. Follow us on social media. Yeah, that.
Says 1,000 downloads, baby.
Yeah, please share it. Please share it. And
just pass it around, pass it along.
Ask your grandma to download it. Anything helps. Even your
download it on every single podcast app. Download all the different apps and download it. But anyway, we'll see you next week with Avengers.
Yo.
All right. Ciao.
Bye now.
See ya.